Hey, what's up? I'm live. Look, right now there's one person waiting, so let me shoot this one off. Restream. Right now I am live, so let me boom on schedule. Confirm. Let me see that I'm live right now. Okay, I'm live. Okay. Um so I don't know. Let me see the sign. No captions. Oh, okay. Ticker. Is that what it's called? Let's see. Okay. So let's wait for people to come. Right now there was one person waiting for that one. So I want to see that this person comes to my videos. It'll be in live. Go to live stream. So look, I'm sorry for the confusion. I made a mistake on what was happening, but essentially now I'm here. Let me see where I can. So today I want to talk about two things. One, go through the list of the most attractive and least attractive hobbies, male hobbies according to women, and males' perceptions of their own hobbies as well. So I'm gonna be talking about this. So press screen, boom. Okay, so here's the thing. When women make a list about the stuff that they like or they don't like, usually there's a lot of reaction, and guys decided to react this in the most poor possible way possible because they're like saying, "Oh, we don't want this type of thing that you like." So if it's something that they're truly passionate for, so look at these. What sticks out? Reading sticks out. I did not think women like guys that read that much. I did not. Um, I did not expect it at all. Foreign languages, I sort of knew that one. Playing instruments, well, always the guy with the guitar is like the coolest motherfucker. Like he's like the legit guy. Let me push this over here. Um okay, so usually the guy with the guitar is pretty cool. Cooking, I knew that was gonna be high, but I didn't know that it was going to be that high. Woodworking, surprise, surprise. I did not know. Painting, writing, I did not think it was going to be that high, to be honest. Because I write poetry and I get mostly good results once they're in love with me, but like, I don't know if I get those feelings before they're sure. So, gardening, I did not think that was going to be high. Like, maybe I should be showing off that I have a cactus. Maybe. Swimming, I did not think that was going to be there. Photography, not at all. Hiking, blacksmithing, traveling, I didn't know, because it's a usual thing I show off. Now this part, let's not. When it comes to those top 15, the order was different. I, and I can't believe that men think that swimming is that attractive to women, but and they're right on the money because it's, I mean, they thought it was second, but women think it's like over here, but it's not that bad. So the least attractive hobbies, comic books, I knew that one was gonna be there. Cosplay, I knew it. I knew it. Now, drinking, I knew that was gonna be there. Debating, oh my gosh. You know how much unpopular I was in high school? How little dates I got just because people knew me as the debate guy and the arguing online guy, and also the crypto guy. So I chose some of the worst possible hobbies. Not only that, but manosphere. I mean, back then it wasn't really manosphere. It was just like anti-feminism. And yeah, look. So let's talk about the top hobbies first. What do you see here? Well, first of all, to me, it's a surprise that sport hobbies are not that high. Only swimming is there, archery. Yeah, I thought in hiking, I didn't. I thought some others would be better. I thought boxing, bodybuilding, because women like muscles, and I know this from my own experience that I've elevated my status more. I get more attention. I got more attention when I was in Rome, especially when I was already starting to build muscle. When I started to build muscle, I became more attractive to every single girl. Like every single girl, even though they knew Bitcoin pimp and what I did, debate, argue, they like me because muscles, because I'm the type of guy that's like, talking about exercising, nutrition, food, cooking. But they knew me because of those hobbies as well. And it's something that they like. It's something that they feel comfortable with being around. Now, in my opinion, I'm going to talk about why I don't think that they're there. I think it's a guilty pleasure in the sense like women don't want to say that they're into MMA guys because they know MMA guys can be toxic. They know bodybuilders can be toxic, especially if they're on trend. They know it. So they're not likely to say that they want it, but they do want protection. They do seek a guy that's going to be bigger than them. They do seek a guy that's strong, confident, and those things are brought by these things. I don't think um, I don't think reading brings in confidence. I don't think uh, cooking, woodworking. I do think playing an instrument, yeah, sort of. Gardening, not so much. Photography, very little. Astronomy, I don't think you get more confidence learning about the stars and planets. Um, but yeah, so where did those go? Unattractiveness of male. Look at all the, but let me see. Attractiveness of male hobbies. So swimming, hiking, top in the 90s. Canoeing, rock climbing, skiing, surfing. Those are the extreme sports. Scuba. So those are the in the 80 percentage. And then there's playing sports, which is 80%. But then riding, like what, riding horse or motors? No, because bicycles is there. I knew skateboarding was unattractive, but oh, skateboarding is very unattractive. Now, here's the thing, boxing and MMA, I think, go higher. Yoga, oh my gosh. The amount of guys that go into yoga classes just to pick up the girls is unbelievable. And because it's the ratio, it's like the one guy there, and you're sweating, or if it's Bikram yoga. So, in my opinion, yoga is much more higher. And I think there's a guilty pleasure to it, which in the sense like women don't want to say it. So, in my opinion, if this was polled differently, in the sense like what women thought other women liked, like what their best friend liked more, then I think some of these would go higher. Bodybuilding would go higher. Running, I think, would go higher. Boxing, MMA would go higher than most of these. Playing sports would be higher than most of these extreme sports. Now, going back to the top, what else do you see? A lot of these hobbies have to do with cultural awareness, reading, foreign languages, cooking to a certain degree, playing an instrument to a certain degree, photography to a certain degree because you travel, but it's because of the traveling. So cultural awareness can actually be used to enhance your attractiveness. Now, I'll be speaking more about cultural rizz throughout this entire video, but we can talk about it. We can talk about definitely talking about it. Let's see how's the chat. No one's in. So now let's talk about the bottom list because I think I talked about every single yeah. Oh, one thing I forgot: dancing. Where's dancing? I know dancing is up here. What? No, the dance. I know dancing is up there. Oh, it's at 80%. So it's not that high, no. But dancing is another one that I thought would be higher. And the reason why is because that one has to do with cultural awareness. So, but I mean, it's not so far below. It's in the top 20, maybe. I want to see the full list and breakdown. Now, let's see about the top hobbies, the bottom. So comic books, nerd. Cosplay, nerd. Debating, I understand it, nerd. Drinking. Why would you like someone who is likely to be irrationally aggressive? Like Magic of the Gathering, that's what MTG stands for. I have a friend who does that, and of course he hides this hobby because you don't want to show off that you do this hobby in particular. Anime, I did not think anime was going to be this low. Now, the surprise here is makeup is more attractive than crypto. Like a guy wanting to look like a female, wanting to look feminine and cute and gay is higher than crypto. So that one pisses me off. Now, clubbing, thank God that activity is very down low. Thank God. This makes me have more hope for women if I believe that if this is true to what women actually want, then thank God clubbing is that low. Marijuana, I did not expect it to be there, but thank God it's there if it is. Funko, I don't understand what's the hate with Funko. It's like a cute little toy. Like I don't understand what's the hate with it. Now look at porn. The fact that porn is that low goes to show that maybe you just shouldn't watch it. Maybe you just shouldn't do it. Why? Because it's addicting. It gives you false expectations of women or what you should be in bed. Not only that, but erectile dysfunction. So you can also, you know what happens? You essentially don't, you essentially don't get excited when you see a woman taking off her clothes because you get excited to already the stimulation, to the already the part where they're about to finish. So you don't get the you're not so sensitive. Or for example, for a kiss, you're not that sensitive. If it's your first time kissing someone, believe me, you like will get excited over that compared to if it's the 100th person that you're kissing. Gambling, thank God that's in there. And manosphere, here's the thing. I expected it to be low, and I understand why it's that low. Because here's the thing. Manosphere has to do with basically not allowing not allowing female bullshit to go on, to put it in the most polite terms, to not allow basically women to take advantage of you in multiple different aspects. Now, and in that regard, I can completely understand why women, want to get away with bullshit, with BS. So they don't want a movement that essentially stops their BS. And I think if this poll were to be reversed, meaning what hobbies men find the least attractive about women, feminism would be on the bottom for sure. I mean, we can talk. I mean, there's psyops for sure against men, and you have straight dudes for Harris, white guys for Harris, pussies like Sission, and all these guys that have low energy. I mean, but I would argue feminism will be on that list if it were the reversed. And the reason why is because no guy wants women to stop their male BS. So feminism is, if you want to put it in the most simple terms, where they're equivalent, is feminism is the movement to stop the BS coming from men. And manosphere is the movement to stop the BS from women. So of course the party that's responsible for the BS is not going to want a movement that stops their BS. So do not show off that of course you watch Andrew Tate, or that you listen to the Stoics, or Passport Bros. Passport Bros, if you define yourself as a passport bro in front of an American woman, like that's just not gonna give you points. And even if you go abroad and you say purposely that you say that you're doing this purposely, you're not gonna get points. You have to do this in the most subtle way possible. Just say like, "Oh, I'm here for vacation. I want to travel to Colombia because I love the weather. I'm trying to eat some good food and whatever." And then you just so happen to find a beautiful woman there. So yeah, I completely understand why manosphere is that low. Now think one, two, three, four, five, six. I'm glad these are low. I'm glad makeup is low. I'm glad clubbing is low. Marijuana, arguing online, well, not so much. Corn and gambling are low. Manosphere, here's the thing. I don't think feminism or manosphere should be ranked low, but I know that it is. In the sense like it shouldn't be ranked low because we shouldn't have BS running on. Now, I understand that me as a man, I'm not going to like a movement that stops my BS from happening because I don't want to get called out for my BS. You see what I'm saying? So that's just my take. You know that I'm not even going to say this. Whoever's on Twitch, bro, shut up. To be honest, like seriously, man, like mature up. So let's talk about going back. Because here's the thing, on the top list, a lot of these have to do with cultural awareness. And I've used this as a strategy to pick up dates, get attention, so on and so on. And this is what I like to call cultural Rizz. That is the point of this, the second half of this point of this video. Look at cultural Rizz. Reading, if you're culturally aware, you read a lot of history for sure. Maybe you read books from other countries or other cultures. Maybe you're into Tintin, for example, foreign languages, cultural awareness. Playing an instrument depends on the place, depends on the instrument, but some could be exclusive. If I know how to play a ukulele, you think I'm not gonna be picking up the girls from Hawaii, even though I'm not Polynesian? They're like, oh my gosh, he knows how to play the ukulele. So cooking, if I cook the best Greek salad and I go out for the first time with this girl from Greece and I cook her a Greek salad and it's actually good. Do you think like she's gonna appreciate that? Of course, of course. Now I'm gonna talk about which ones I have the most of when it comes to cultural Rizz and which ones I have the least of. So let's define the terms first. Rizz is an internet slang that means the ability to attract a romantic or sexual partner or to be charming or stylish. So I created this term because I've noticed that if I tell a girl from a completely different country or culture about what I know about their country or culture, they get more attracted to me, if especially if it's accurate. So let's talk about the countries that I would be at the top. I've used this for Greece and Cyprus. Well, Greece, because I've met more Greeks than Cyprus. So let's talk about Greece. I had this female friend who, you know, she was a friend. Like we never made it official, but we knew there was feelings. But anyways, we are really close friends, really close friends. And through her, I got to learn a little bit of some of the politics stuff. I got to learn, to say Constantinople, not Istanbul. I got to, um, learn some stuff. And not only that, but when I was bored, I decided, you know what, let me pick up a biblical language. And I said, let me pick up Greek because it's either Greek, Latin. Well, Latin is not a biblical language, but Aramaic or Hebrew. Latin would be a Catholic language, but um I started doing the Duolingo and stuff. And when I showed that off, or when I showed off the fact that I went to Cyprus, the people who are in Greece or people who are Greeks themselves here, they're like, whoa, pa 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 pa. Like they start getting interested in me. And same thing for girls. I've used this in so many occasions where their smile becomes like this. Their smile becomes mm. So you understand that, and here's the reason why. I'll say this is the reason why. Someone's culture is part of someone's identity. So if you have interest in their culture, you're partly interested in their identity, and therefore they want to get to know you back. Because even though you never met them, you're still partly interested in them. And therefore they want to return that favor by being, you know, an ambassador for you. So Greece and Cyprus is at the top. Arabic countries, especially UAE. I've almost converted to Islam twice. and I can go into detail. Comment below if you want me to talk about the details about why I almost converted to Islam twice. The chat says, I wish I could speak Greek too. Yeah, I mean, I know some Greek enough that it impresses people. Like, I know how to say good morning, kalimera, kalo apojevma, good afternoon, then good night, kalihinita, kalinihita. I know how to say wanker, malaka. I know how to say uh, like black olives, calamatas. Um, Tocaroto, the carrot. I know how to say arquitectonas. I know how to say some words. I know I Poselene, like my name is. Um, Yasu, hi. Efkaristo, which is like I'm good. So why are you so attracted to Islam? So here's the thing. I used to go to an IB school, and in this IB school, they used to teach, all religion, and we can talk about how the IB curriculum teaches, diversity, inclusion, and whatever, but it promotes diversity in religions as well, to the point where it says all religions are equal and there's virtue in everyone, in every single one. And I got promoted into Islam. I got attracted to it, to the idea of um, discipline, tradition. Um, there was that aspect, um, the type of prayer. Um, I got attracted into it. Now, I also, uh, but then I didn't really follow on. I didn't really follow on because multiple reasons. I ended up not doing it because I was a kid. I was 14, but the school curriculum promoted this, and I don't think the conservatives have actually like spotted this, but the IB curriculum is very Masonic, very Freemasonry, very pro pick any religion, and that moves away from Christianity. So I say, watch out for the IB curriculum in schools, the International Baccalaureate. Um, Now, the second time, it was through Andrew Tate, of course. So, and this is the problem with these hypocrites. And I'll talk about the hypocrisy of them. So, IB. So, you've probably seen this. This is a worldwide curriculum that basically allows you to take university classes within the system. So you've probably seen this. IB. A 2-year educational program that prepares students for university and life after high school. And this is a world. It offers languages. It has a curriculum of trying to inform people about different cultures and whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. However, the problem with IB is that it promotes them as equals. Some cultures are better than others. We're Western cultures that promote diversity, that believe in freedom. There are other cultures that don't. So if by the own values of diversity, inclusion, you know, promoting freedom of religion or who to sleep with, for example, uh, this promotes cultures that don't promote that. So this IB curriculum in middle school pushed me towards um, Islam. Now, Andrew Tate, that was another guy. Look, I went on one date with an Egyptian girl, and it was during Ramadan, so I messed up. But I liked how respectful she was. I liked how respectful she was. I liked the fact that she expected me to open the door. The fact that she trusted me. Here's the thing, I met her at a parking lot, and most girls would not want to, talk with a guy at the parking lot. Now, I wasn't seeking her out. It was just like we were both walking to our classes, and I was on the parking lot, and I saw this huge flock of birds, and I was like, damn. And but I said it in Spanish, and she just like laughed at my reaction. So I thought she understood me. So I thought she was Latina. Now, turns out she wasn't Egyptian. So I ended up picking that conversation with her, psychology major, this and that. And I get a date at the end. I asked for her at the end when I walked to her math class. I like she gotta go to her math class. She's late. And I still get enough time for her to give me her number. She still follows me on Snap. So she got attracted to me. Why? Because of the conversation that I picked off with her. Um, psychology major. Like I did a good. I think I talked about Arab food as well, because you gotta appreciate Arab food. If you don't appreciate the food, then uh, you're gonna have a bad time. If you say to an Italian, "I like Greek food is the best food," you're gonna have a bad time. Now, if you say, and here's the thing, when it comes to Mediterranean food, when it comes to the best food, it's Mediterranean food. If you say it's Portuguese food, that's totally right. If you say it's Spanish, that's totally right. If you say Italian, totally right. Greek, totally right. Cyprus, totally right. Turkish, totally right. Every single one of these countries is totally right. If you say French food is the best cuisine in the world, I am sorry, but you are definitely wrong. French food is overrated AF. But we're going to talk about France in another section where I talk about negative risk. So I liked how respectful she was, how feminine she was. It was one of those dates where I actually liked being there. And I did not experience this with any single American woman ever. And we didn't even kiss. But it's still better. So I like that. And I ended up like looking at observing how Muslim, like the different cultures date or behave, and I ended up liking Muslim women a lot more. I ended up appreciating Muslim women. I started actually liking the covering, the hijabs. I don't think that they should be fully covered. I think that's wrong. In my opinion, they shouldn't be treated as sort of like mules in that regard. But if she's covered like boom like this, like I find that attractive. So I actually appreciate, certain traditional standards of Islam as a practice, not as a religion, because certain parts of the religion I think are wrong. We can talk about, how they lie about the crucifixion and say that it really didn't take place. We can talk about how, Muhammad dated a minor. We can talk about, well, married, not date, married, but we can talk about many different things. So I liked certain aspects of Islam, and then I was almost flirting with it. I had a friend, Ali. He's one of these um, Andrew Tate wannabes, and he's a pretty good friend. We debated a lot. We talked a lot, and he gave me his Quran. Even he gave me his Quran, and I was this close. But I saw miracles in Rome, Catholic miracles, which I can go and talk about, but I think that would distract another anecdote. Um, I think it would distract from the point of this video. If you want to say, let's talk about the Catholic miracles, let's talk about the Catholic miracles. If not, then let me go on and talk about the full list. But Cyprus is at the top. Greek and Cyprus at the top. Arab countries, because of Islam, second. And especially the UAE. The UAE, and the reason why the UAE is there is because I'm more free market capitalist. I used to be a libertarian, and I have a certain particular interest when it comes to right wing dictatorships that are super capitalist. So the UAE, Pinochet in Chile. We can talk about Qatar. Now Saudi Arabia is joining the club. We can talk about Singapore. We can talk about many different things. And because of that, I took interest in UAE and I knew their entire history. So when it came to talking about energy and environmental science and why the middle and why because I don't know what the conversation was, but the professor was talking about the UAE and the expenditure of, I think, petroleum, of fossil fuels, and how the UAE increased. And I ended up talking every single thing about the history of the UAE, and because I've done projects on the UAE, even like I know a lot about their history and how their system runs. So because of that, some girl from the UAE, she was like, "Oh my gosh, how do you know so much, especially about the UAE?" I'm like, "Okay, here's the thing. Middle Eastern food goes hard. Like I try to like play it off as, like in the most normie way possible. Like I like the food. Um I've like I want to travel to there. Like don't get me wrong, I am Christian 100%. But would I not want to travel to Dubai? 100%. I want to travel to Dubai. I think it looks like a beautiful city. Abu Dhabi or Abu Dhabi, absolutely want to. And same thing for Saudi Arabia. Don't get me wrong. Like I wouldn't visit Mecca just like the monument, but I would visit the city for sure, and Riyadh for sure. I think these are countries that are developing fastly. They're setting up great events. They're, like the comment section. They're very disciplined, modest. They they're a very good group of people and very friendly, very very friendly. Arabs are some of the nicest group of people. Give you three kisses on the cheek, and some of the nicest people. Some of the nicest, I will say. Oman, I did not know Oman was nice too, but seems to like the comment section says so. I'll take it as it is. But I want to travel to the Middle East. I think some of the food is good. I think, well, some, no, all of the food is good. I think when it comes to the culture, the women, I appreciate Arab beauty. Like in Spain and in Europe, they give two kisses. Especially Southern and Eastern Europe and Central also, but not Britain. Britain and Ireland are like, no. They're like the Americans. They don't like to touch or hug people. They like, no, the Spanish, the Italians, and this is what I love about them. So that's two Arab countries, especially UAE. Italy, because I lived in Italy and I picked up the language. Io parlo italiano, malo, ma parlo. So I said, I speak Italian, bad, but I speak it. So I know Italian, and I remember what I did on my last on the last day of my first semester. There's an Italian baddie. Oh my gosh! And I literally said to my friend Bruno, like, "Hey, bro, next semester I'm gonna pick her up. I'm not gonna talk to her today, but like next semester." Thank God I did not listen to my own advice, because what ended up happening was, and I'll say this later on. So she ended up, like, somehow she was there, like, grinding the cakes, and it's not like she was handing everyone the cakes, but she just handed me. I was wanting to get a cake, and she just handed me a plate, and I was like, "Ciao, io non ti conosciuto." So, uh, hi, I've never met you. Basically said, but in Italian. And the fact that I spoke to her in Italian at an American school where everyone, speaks English, from the first response made her want to reciprocate and talk to me. And I even got a kiss at that night. Now, like I said before, why was it a good idea to talk to her now and not next semester? Because next semester that I stayed there in Italy, she came to Georgia, America, to study abroad. So, you tears, but um, yeah. So Italy is on my third because I speak Italian. I'm very Italian. Like, I know all the sign language Italians do. Um, I cook very good pasta. The carbonara, cacio e pepe. I know the amatricianas. I know the alla pescatora. I know all the pastas. I know marinara scampi. I know them. So the fact that I can cook pasta and I know good recipes, not like just the basic ones, makes them want to like me. So Italian, Italy is three. Brazil. Now, why Brazil? So first of all, my first job was at Fogo de Chao, which is a Brazilian steakhouse. I also practice from time to time capoeira, a Brazilian martial art. I've practiced jujitsu, but jujitsu is popular, so it's not like people are like, "Oh, you practice jujitsu?" Because it's not just a Brazilian thing; it's now worldwide to the point where it's overabundant. So it's not that impressive. But if you say you practice capoeira, that's impressive because that's even less popular in Brazil. That's specific to like Afro and indigenous cultures in Brazil. So capoeira impresses a lot of Brazilians. And I can speak a little bit of Portuguese. I'm very bad, very much worse than Italian for sure. And especially when these Brazilians start speaking fast, I'm like, "Hey, yo, 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 despacito, like slow down." But like, I still am there. Now, another one, Georgia and Kazakhstan. And this is not because I know Georgian or Kazakhstani. No, I don't. However, I do know a little bit about their country. So, for example, with Georgia, there's tons of Orthodox edits that I watch on Instagram. They're very cool. They have like the Georgian monks with like the wolves, and it's very cool. Also, the trio Mendili, they're popular, whatever. And then we can talk about, um, what else? Oh, Marab from the UFC. So I know a little bit about Georgia. And Kazakhstan, well, I know the fighters like Triple G and Shavkat Ramanov, and that me. Because here's the thing: when I uh when I talk to these girls about their own countries, they're like, "Oh my gosh, how do you know so much?" Because it's a country that most people don't even think about or even know. So the fact that I know about them makes them want to like me. And it's not even like I've picked up the language. I don't know anything of Georgian or anything of Kazakhstani, if that's even the name of the language. But I know some things about them. I know, about the religion. I know about, the demographics. I know that Borat is an inaccurate movie of Kazakhstan because it literally shows a village of like gypsies. It literally looks more like an Armenian, or like it looks more like a village of Dagestan. It looks more like a village of any of the Caucasian countries. The language is Kazakh. Yeah. So as you see, but I still know that it's not Russian. Well, some of them speak Russian, but anyways. But when I ended up talking about their stuff and the fact that my dad traveled to Kazakhstan, they get interested in me. So Cultural Rizz is phenomenal. It's key. So if you know about a country, you're gonna get points for that if that grows from that country. Now let's talk about Hispanic American Venezuela, because I'm Hispanic, I'm Latino, and also Venezuelan. Do I get points for that? To a certain degree. So here's the thing: if we're overabundant, no. Because for example, in America, Latinas don't reciprocate with me. Oh, she's Mexican, I'm Venezuelan. Okay, I know Spanish, but that's about it. And no, I know more about the history of Mexico than most Mexicans, because most Mexicans have been brainwashed by this indigenous brain rot propaganda. But I would argue, that it doesn't reciprocate because she already expects me to be these certain things. So because I'm Venezuelan and Latino, so therefore you have that cultural similitude, but also because there's so many of us, then it's like, oh well, you know, and you're not even that close. Okay, Mexican, okay, but like if you're from the specific area of Mexico that they're from, that's impressive. If there's an abundance of Mexicans, if there's an abundance of Latinos. However, if I'm the only other Mexican and she's the only other Mexican in that town, that is value. And the reason why is simple: people want to date within their own cultures. Why? It's easier for the family. It's easier to understand each other, to talk to each other in the language that you're comfortable in when it comes to, what's in your heart. When it comes to expressions, when it comes to expressing your feelings, you do not want to express yourself in a language that you don't even think in, that you're not even comfortable in. So doesn't matter how proficient you are. So for me, expressing feelings, it has to be either English or Spanish, because those are the ones that I actually dominate to that extent. Italian, I can insult someone in Italian. So comment section says, can you tell Kazakh apart from Kyrgyz, Turkmen, Uzbek? For me, I can't differentiate between them, nor I know what the cultural difference is. Nope. But the fact that, nope. So, but here's the thing: the fact that I know about Kazakhstan and not the other countries gets me points with the Kazakh girl. If I knew about those other ones, and well, we'll talk about negative risk, but if I knew about the other ones and there were other girls from other, those other countries, then therefore those that would get me points, unless they're very, united in identity and so close that they consider each other brothers. Like Latinos, for example, if she's Colombian and I'm Venezuelan and we're the only ones in that town that are, Latinos, she's gonna like me a lot. She's gonna want me because of that. Now, you know, other things affected, of course. So if I have a shitty personality, if I'm abusive, of course not. Uh, if I'm not attractive, of course not. If I don't have attractive hobbies, of course not. But the fact that we're this close, at least on Colombia and Venezuela, and the historical and cultural things, that's an advantage. So here's the thing. So I've talked about overabundance and little abundance. So if there's an overabundance, then they're gonna want you to be more specific. So me, where I live, there's so many Latinos that me being Venezuelan doesn't get me any points anywhere with someone from a different country or at all, or even different cities. However, if I'm from the same town as they are, that gets me value. Now, what about the Philippines and Equatorial Guinea? Because those are two Hispanic nations, very different in culture, very different language. Well, Equatorial Guinea speaks Spanish, but nobody ever thinks of Hispanic Heritage Month and usually includes Equatorial Guinea. We usually include the Latinx countries, including Jamaica and countries that should not even be there, like Haiti. We should not be including Haiti in the Hispanic Heritage Month, but for some reason we do, because a lot of, especially the leftist Latinos, identify with Latinos over Hispanic. So the fact that I have that promotion over, so in my country, cultural race has made it impossible due to mass migration. Now there's too many people from every people group. No, I don't think that's necessarily a problem. I think that there can be an overabundance for sure, in your own one. So therefore, you're not really gonna get points for that. But if you learn about another person's country or culture in a way that it gets them points, that it gets you points, then I think that's gonna give you cultural risk points. 100%. I 100% think that. So if you knew, I don't know what country you are or what people are coming in, but if you spoke their language, even though you're not from there, you're gonna get points. Or if you know about their country, you're gonna get points for that. Or if you've traveled to their country, you're gonna get points for that. So Equatorial Guinea and Philippines, Hispanic countries. Philippines is on the, because they don't speak Spanish anymore. They have last names in Spanish, Catholic, whatever, but they don't speak Spanish anymore. And now there's movements to revive Spanish and to promote Hispanichood in the Philippines, which I think is awesome based. But I don't know if I'm gonna get points with the Philippines because I've never, talked to a Filipino girl about, I've never tried this. And the fact that I think that Filipinos should promote speaking Spanish more. So in that regard, I don't know if I'm gonna get points with the Philippines. Equatorial Guinea. Well, I'm not from there necessarily, but I promote the idea of promoting them as part of my identity, which is being Hispanic. So, and I like to be inclusive of them. So, does that make me have enough points for a girl from Equatorial Guinea? Who knows? But I thought those were on the list. Let me share the list before. So from this list, any questions? Any questions from the list? I already talked about them, but any last questions? If not, I'll go to the next list. No questions. So because I have so much risk for Greece and Cyprus, I also have negative risk for Turkey. And what do I mean by negative risk? So let's talk about the Philippines. It is hard to see a Spanish revival in the Philippines. The local languages are still strong, and English is more widely known than Spanish. But who knows? It may be nice to see them embrace their history in the Spanish sphere. Here's the thing: reviving languages is very hard, for sure. And there's because the Irish have tried to revive Celt and it's not going as successful, or Gaelish, and it's not going as successful. But for example, the Jews, they now speak Hebrew. So Catalonian was at the point of extinction before Franco got into power. The Basque, the same. So those also Galician was another one, another Spanish language that was almost driven to extinction, and now it's on the endangered, especially Galician. But I would argue those other ones, to a certain degree, they are, but they have a lot of political attraction towards Spain, or disattraction or popularity because they want to be separatist. But that's but my point is that reviving languages is not impossible. It is hard, definitely, and you need good education programs. You need not only education, but you also need tons of government structure. So, promoting the use of that language in government buildings. So yes, but in both cases, those languages are very significant to the national identities. The same can't be said necessarily to extent of Spanish in the Philippines. It is not from there as Irish is from Ireland, Basque is from the Basqueland, etc. Yeah, true. That is true. So then the question becomes: do you want to embrace a language of a con of your historical empire, or that taught you Catholicism? Do you want to be thankful for that? And I would argue, to a certain degree, people would revive that. I mean, look at Catholics right now. A lot of them are picking up Latin because they love the traditional mass. And we can talk about how they want to rebel against Pope Francis because they don't really understand what he's doing, and therefore they're doing the traditional mass, which is an act of rebellion. Because if they're doing the type of mass in order to oppose the Pope, then that of course then gets banned because you're protesting the Pope. But I would argue Catholics are picking up Latin a lot, even though it's a dead language, and not from America. Like American Catholics are picking up Latin. So now, countries that I have negative risk: Turkey. Why? Because I promote Greece and Cyprus so much, because I know the historical perspectives and whatever from Greece or Cyprus. I've made mistakes on dates with Turkish girls. With this one Turkish girl, oh my gosh, the amount of mistakes that I made amount to saying it as if I said I want to travel to Constantinople. If I had said that at the date, that would be the only thing that ruined the entire thing compared to all the different things that I did throughout the date. So, for example, we were at a kebab place and they were speaking Arabic. I thought the Turkish spoke Arabic. straight up. And you can call me racist, whatever, but some Turks do speak Arabic, not most Turks. And most, I would argue, they believe themselves to have a more European identity. And they think of themselves as superior to Arab nations. So they don't want to be associated with Arab nations. They want, well, that's why they're in NATO, but they want to be in the EU. They want to be in the European Union. So to the Turkish, they don't see themselves as Arabs, even though they're Muslims, and even though we can talk about how the last caliph was from Turkey, and how that uh, gave them the status of the leaders of the Islamic world. But still, I would argue, um, and that's their perspective. Now, the Turkish perspective. However, I know how many genocides Turkey has committed. So the fact that I know that, like, it's well, here's the thing: it's not okay to commit genocide once, but these guys, the Turks, they've done it multiple different times to multiple different groups of people. They've done it to the Greeks, the Armenians. We can talk about the Kurds. Like, we can talk about so many groups that they've committed genocide upon, and they just keep on doing it and getting away with it. Nobody puts a check on Turkey. So the fact that I know this, we can talk about Cyprus. The fact that I believe that Greek Cyprus should be all of Greece. I mean, all Cyprus. That Cyprus should be 100% one country under Greek rule and not Turkish. The fact that I know about the oppression that the Turks did against the Balkans. And here's the thing: I know Balkans all committed genocides against each other, but I have the Greek perspective because I have had so many Greek friends. So therefore, this gives me negative risk to the Turkish girls. So if I'm on a date with a Turkish girl, it's it's going to turn out very bad. Even though when I was young, I wanted to visit Istanbul because of the Hagia Sophia. But when I found out that that was a church that the Muslims took over, when I found out that they took Constantinople, that it was Constantinople, now I'm like, okay, now I want to take that back. And well, the Turks, they believe that they promoted diversity and whatever, and that's very true from the comment section, that they're a pinnacle of tolerance and multiculturalism. Multiculturalism, yes, but tolerance of that multiculturalism, no, absolutely not. They're very diverse, yes, and people and demographics and culture and whatever, yeah, but they did not promote it at all. And in fact, they promoted supremacy, Turkish supremacy over others. Um, so Turkey, negative risk at the top. Like, if I'm on a date and she's Turkish, she's the most likely to hate me. So that's at the top. France, number two. Number two, France. I think Paris, especially Paris French, is ugly. I think French is ugly. That's one. I think it's overrated. I think every single French city is absolutely ugly and disgusting. And I think French food is overrated. So the fact that I know that because I've been there and all these different things, any French girl that goes out with me is gonna hate me. The fact that they know that I think that their revolution was a Freemasonic revolution, trying to replace Christ with some nationalist nonsense, they don't like that about me. I'm Catholic. I like the Pope in Rome. I hate Napoleon. So that is negative risk towards France, negative cultural risk towards France. Puerto Rico and Mexico are next. And here's the reason why. For the Puerto Ricans, too much. So, and I don't get why Turks would get mad at you about calling it Istanbul as Constantinople, because even for most of the period of Turkish rule, it was called Constantinople. Well, here's the thing. Turkish people want to be, I mean, this is a good question. It's a very good question because I don't know how to respond to this. But essentially, to a certain degree, people want to be representative of the country's own ambitions. So the Turkish or the Ottoman Empire no longer represent the Turkish people. And it's not like, oh, now different ethnicity or whatever. No, 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 no. But what I am saying is that it's a different institution. So the Ottoman Empire and the lands that they ruled, plus Turkey, it's two different constitutions, two different rules. So therefore, people from Turkey only want the Turkish ambitions from the modern government, most likely, or the ideology of the government, most likely. So that's why they call it Istanbul, and they don't want to be called Constantinople because they don't want that to be taken away, you know, or to go back to that Ottoman rule. So right on, the French Revolution was an attack on everything that France had represented until that point. Yes, which was Christianity, which was Catholicism, which was the Pope. So an attack on Catholicism and the Pope is something that I'm against as a Catholic. So Puerto Rico and Mexico, here's the thing. Puerto Rico, because there's this indigenous lie about the indigenous genocide, even though most of them died of diseases, and a bunch of them allied with the Spanish to conquer themselves because they wanted to conquer the, the Taínos, which were like the Aztecs. These motherfuckers were committing mass genocides, mass human sacrifices. So of course, the fact that I'm against the Puerto Rican Taino identity of or nationalistic identity makes me lose points with a Puerto Rican girl. Same thing with the Mexican. A Mexican, they think they're Aztecs, even though the majority of the demographics come from other ethnicities, other tribes as well. We can talk about the Tlaxcalcas, Oaxaca. We can talk about many different ethnicities that allied together to fight the Aztecs. The Spaniards did not conquer the Aztec Empire by itself. They could not. They did not have the amount of men at all. It was all the different tribes that were being enslaved by the Aztecs and human sacrificed by the Aztecs that decided to ally with the Spanish. And the same thing with the Malinche. Malinche was not from the Aztec Empire. She was of a conquered tribe of the Aztec Empire. And that's why she allied the Spaniards. And that's the big lie about the betrayal of the Malinche, because she's allegedly betrayed Mexico. But here's the thing, Mexico as an identity did not exist. It was the Aztec Empire and all these tribes who were being enslaved. Now, not only that, but let's talk about this. Let's talk about the fact that the revolution, the independence movements of Latin America, promoted Spanish as the language because that's what they wanted to use to unite, because they were founded by criollos, meaning Spaniards who were citizens in Latin America, but they did not get any representation because they were born in Latin America, in Hispanic America, but they were Spanish. But they did not get any representation. You know who did get representation? The tribes. The tribes got representation. They were part of the virreinatos, the by kingdoms. So And the Spanish actually promoted their languages and wrote glossaries and textbooks of their languages. They wrote Bibles in their languages, in the languages of the indigenous tribes. And the Jesuits, they promoted this. Now, let's talk about this. The revolutions fought for representation for the criollos and essentially just erased the other indigenous tribes, in the sense like they would not give them representation. They sort of idealized this mestizo identity of, and especially in Mexico, of the Aztecs, that they're Aztecs. Most Mexicans were Aztecs, even though that's not true. Aztecs were an empire that did not originate in everywhere in Mexico, but they started in Tenochtitlan, in modern day Mexico City. But they expanded. So they were not from the other areas of Mexico. They expanded into other nations. So there are other languages that essentially got erased because of that, because of the revolutions in Latin America. Now, there are countries that do good, like Paraguay, which speaks Guarani to this day, Mexico, because they have a huge indigenous population, and promotion of Aztec, also Aztec and Mayan. Those are two languages that are very much promoted. Incas in Peru, um, the Quechua language, that's promoted a lot in Peru. I know a lot about Peruvian history, so I guess that gets me some points. And here's the thing: even though Peruvians are not usually hotties, with the one girl that I've ever seen, beautiful Peruvian, I actually got some points with her. Cultural Rizz again. Cultural Rizz, because I knew about certain things about Peru, like the fact that they have a huge Asian population and that their dictator was Japanese descendant Fujimori. That got me some intelligence, cultural Rizz points with her, and she did get attracted to me. There's other things that I did, of course, but like cultural Rizz again. Which anyone around them knew about Fujimori? Which other people around me? Nobody. Only me, who I'm not from Peru. So that gave me points. Portugal. Now I want to show a video which goes to show what I did. So this is what I did. Let me show this. Let me show this. So they celebrate Carnival in. So this is what the Japanese are doing. So here's what's wrong with this. Portuguese and Brazilians, they don't like each other, especially the Portuguese towards the Brazilians, and for multiple reasons. So, for example, Brazil is a much bigger country than Portugal, and therefore they get the language recognition. So when it comes to what flag is next to the language, it always pops up as Brazil, and that's the one that they corrected to. So if you try to speak with another different accent, it's not gonna recognize that accent most likely. Sometimes I would argue, especially the most primitive. So, for example, if you spoke Portuguese from Portugal into a language course which has the accent of Brazil, it might not recognize certain words. And so for example, desculpe, which means sorry. No, Brazilians would say like desculpe. So look what I did. Gis. So the D is a G. Coupe. Now in Portugal, desculpe. D. So the D sounds like a D no matter what it's next to. And I barely pronounced the E there because I did this the scoop, the scoop. I didn't say the scoop. You see what I'm saying? And then the E at the end, the scoop. The E at the end, silent, not even there. So Brazil's pronunciation is different. So of course they get the language recognition on the cultural classes as the language most because they are the largest. But so that gets a lot of hate from Portugal to Brazil. Then we have to talk about the fact that Brazil's a growing country, Portugal's a falling country. We can talk about that Brazil has 5 World Cups, Portugal only has 0. In fact, it's only won 1 Euro Cup. And when it comes to best players in the world, I mean, Brazil stacked with them. Portugal was lucky to have Ronaldo. Lucky. So that's my point. So there are different reasons why Portugals hate Brazil. And I thought with this Portuguese girl that I would raise her up with my knowledge of Brazil. So the fact that I appreciate soccer, even though I'm a Messi fan and not a Ronaldo fan. Um, the fact that I appreciate, and here's the thing: if it's soccer or football, I should have, simp towards Ronaldo more to get my points with her. The fact, let's see what else was going. Oh yeah, I showed her Brazilian funk. Apparently, I thought they speak the same language, so therefore it would have spread. Kind of like the same way reggaeton or salsa or merengue spreads to all parts of Hispanic America, all parts of Latin America. Reggaeton is popular towards all parts of Hispanic America. Well, guess what? Guess what? Portuguese do not listen to Brazilian funk. They don't. They don't. So when I showed this to her, she was like, "What the fuck is this?" Like she tried to like play it off like, "Oh, this is interesting. This is cool." But this did not win me any points with that. So it did not win me any points. Cultural Rizz. Portugal did not win me any Rizz. Argentinians. This is simple. I know what their grandfather was. So I know, and I know about their grandparents. So if they have a German last name or an Italian last name, you know damn well I'm asking the question. Where was your grandfather in 1939 to 1943? Where was your grandfather? So, 2, I know Argentinians are especially racist. Especially. So the fact that I know this means that I call out their BS and they don't want that. Nobody wants to be called out on their BS. So that's why, like I said before, manosphere is unpopular according to women. But I would argue feminism is also unpopular according to men, because these movements are created to oppose the BS that comes from the opposite gender, and nobody wants to be called out on their BS. I I want to get away with BS. So most of the German and Italian migration wasn't related. I think that's BS. It was related to after. So when there was persecution in Germany of all the people in the parties, they moved to, same thing for Italy. They moved to Argentina. There was even Israeli. Well, you want to call? I don't want to call them mafia, but yeah, there was Israeli police officers in Argentina searching for certain Nazis. Um, Sometimes they were protected by Argentinian fascist governments. Sometimes they weren't. They thought Argentina would be, a great place to be there because of fascism, but it turns out that they didn't get that defense because the fascism there was not alliant, so much alliant with the previous Nazi regime was. So, but either way, the fact that I know this, the fact that I don't think that the Falkland Islands are theirs, the fact that I hate Maradona as a soccer player, cheater, drug user, communist, I don't like that about. So therefore, Argentinians are not going to like me because they love Maradona, even though he was a cheater, a communist, a junkie, drug user. So the fact that I hate Maradona, by the way, I love Messi. Messi is my favorite player, but the fact that I hate Maradona, they will hate me. So I have negative risk when it comes to Argentinians. Israel, that's another one. It's not like I side with Palestine, but the fact that I know about USS Liberty, the fact that I know about certain things that Israel has done that is messed up, and the nationalism that is going on in Israel, that's going against the Christians living there, or the local oppression that goes on there against other minority groups in their own country. They don't like that. So of course, Israel's gonna be there. England, same reasons as French. The ancient enemies of the Spanish, very cold, whatever. Now here's the thing. I know a lot about America. I'm American, whatever. Does that get me points anywhere if I'm outside of America? Because right now there's an abundance of over Americans if I'm in America. But if I go somewhere else, let's just say if I'm abroad and there's not that many Americans, does that get me anywhere? And I would argue to a certain degree, yes, to a certain degree, no. So, for example, with an American, would that get me any points? Not really, because I don't even agree with their culture or anything that they do. I don't agree with American culture, like, at all. I don't think rap should be promoted, even though I love rap. I don't think that it's good or healthy as a society to promote BS, degenerate behavior. I don't think that kids as young as 6 should be listening to rap and watching GTA 6. I don't think I don't like the consumer culture of Marvel. I'm a Star Wars fan, but Marvel gets me an ick. The fact that there's so much. And when it comes to dating standards, so for example, there's this girl that was 18, I'm 22. So I talked about this with an American in an American table at a dinner in Italy, but these were all Americans. And I said that I didn't know whether to, pursue this because we were friends or whatever. Um, and they said, no, you're a pedophile. They called me a pedophile for being attracted to an 18-year-old, a 22-year-old attracted to an 18-year-old. So 4 age difference. She's over the age, but because I'm 22, apparently that's too old. In Germany, If I was 22, I could literally get away with normally societally dating a 16-year-old. And I'm not saying that I should or that that's good. But I'm saying that the age limit for Americans socially, it's way too stupid. It's way too much of an extreme because I think age gaps are a good thing to a certain degree. I think that the best thing that you should do is the rule of seven, which is divide your age by two plus seven. That's the minimum you can date. And that, if you're in an age where that's too low and therefore you go over, then therefore you shouldn't even date. So if you're 13, 12, no dating because 12 divided by 2, 6 plus 7, 13. So because 13 is over 12 and you're 12 and you're supposed to date your minimum, which is either 12 or less, then therefore you shouldn't even date at all. 14, that's when you should date. Start dating. But then as you go higher, the age gap can go wider. Now, for example, Leonardo DiCaprio, he's dating 18-year-olds and he's like in his 50s. It's creepy AF because of that age gap. So if you did Leonardo DiCaprio's age, he should not be dating this young. He should be dating like at least 30-year-old girls or women or 40-year-old. So I think the rule seven is one. Also, this idea that workplace dating should be frowned upon. There's so many things. Uh, Me too. Like not being able to like hug someone or like just like this on a picture. The fact that this can get me sued for sexual harassment in a picture if I'm like this with two girls and it's on the shoulder. That's insane. That's insane. And that's why I don't vibe with Americans, even American girls. So I don't agree with the culture. So therefore, I don't get points with them. Now, here's the thing. Here's where I get points as an American. I went to Colombia. I spoke Spanish. However, when I went to the bank and flexed out my passport, I needed to exchange money. Flex out my passport. American passport. The lady that was there looked at me. She gave me that look like she was checking me out just because I had an American passport and I spoke Spanish. So the fact that I spoke Spanish, okay, that was good. But American passport, now she thinks I'm rich. Now that, like, she thinks I'm a way out of poverty. So American purchasing power is important in that regard. And that's why, the passport bros have a good time because they want American guys because they think America's much better and people live much better than it actually is. So I'm just saying, if you use your cards right as an American, you can get tons of points. If you don't, then don't. But what do you think about my entire chat? I'm about to go because I gotta eat. I haven't eaten since yesterday. So comment below last thoughts. Oh, look up German Argentines. I know that there was migration in the 1800s, but I'm pretty sure. So there was already a high migration there before. Okay. You learn something new every day. After World War One, the largest migration resumed. So even more, there was more German schools, also Jewish migration from Germany. The final period was between 1946 and 1950. And the reason why is because there was a rat line, snitch line, that Peron created. So they thought that they were going to get immunity, but they didn't. So they tried to stop it, um, but still, there was a huge influx of Germans that were Nazis in Germany. Also Brazil, but yeah, that's surprising. I didn't know that German migration was that high in the 1800s. I did not know that. I know that there was a huge German migration into the United States, but not Argentine. But either way, last thoughts about cultural Rizz. Do you think I'm right on this? That I'm actually touching on something, and that the most attractive hobbies show that cultural Rizz is impressive? That it actually impresses the ladies. Cultural Rizz. Do you think what I'm getting to is actually smart? Comment below. Last thoughts. I'll give 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes to wrap it up. If not, then it's okay. Negative cultural Rizz. This is the list. Also, Puerto Ricans is pretty up high because I can't tolerate Spanglish. So comment below. Come on. It's about to be soon. If not, then I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. Please follow me on Instagram, Andres De Leon Morales. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Bitcoin Sensei, Twitch, Upstream. Um, Follow me on Medium, which is my articles. Andres De Leon. Check out my store, Bitcoin Pimp Creator at spring.com/spring.com. Just do all that. But yeah, since no more comments, I'm gonna have to end it, and I'm gonna have to go. Peace out.